What's up, guys? Hope you guys been out there building shit, using your two hands, accomplishing things, building up your self-esteem, your self-worth in the process. It always feels good when you build something or fix something or create something or do some art projects. So this is where we live. About a couple acres out here. A little over a year ago, we've gotten our power installed, got our well house set up. There was a well on the property when we got here, but we built that, set up all the the pump and everything, so we've got water going. But we don't really have a lot of space for like a family gathering or friends to come over or anything. We just kind of got the motorhome. It doesn't have any slide outs, which that was kind of an argument of my wife and I's when we got it, because it doesn't got slide outs. But I felt that was better for no leaks and no maintenance issues and whatnot. So I was on the auction website and I found these being sold. I'll show you a quick picture of what, besides seeing this, the pictures on the website. Alrighty, guys, so back out here with the portable prefab field office container. So I've got to start figuring it out and getting it popped up for my wife. And once I've got mine popped up, then I've got one at a friend's that I got and for them too. And I'm gonna have to go and get that one popped up and put together. So first things first, I'm gonna get going around this one and checking it out. And I grabbed a couple tools out of the bus, and so I can cut some of the little wires that I see wrapped and undo some of the bolts and stuff. Alrighty, guys, so like I said, I just got some cutters and an adjustable wrench. So I got to pull these out to get rid of these, and I got to cut this to separate that at all the corners. I'm going to get to it. Alrighty, guys, so I ended up switching out my weapon of choice. I used a 15/16 ratchet, or a socket on a ratchet, and I got all the rest of these out. So these are all the pieces that we come up with. Now I've got to figure out how to lift this. And at first I was thinking that these hooks would just come over the edges. Well, no, because the walls fold into those. So then I'm thinking I'll probably end up using the bolts that came with it, cutting off like probably these pieces, cutting them in half to where it makes a washer, to where I can thread that in. I've got a little washer, and then I can hook this onto the bolt, and I don't have to worry about it falling off because it's got that little half of that piece of metal on there. So I'm going to get to cutting those in half. Alrighty, guys. Alright, YouTube. So I ended up, like I said, I switched ammo. I used the 15/16 on the ratchet. It made this job a lot quicker than with the adjustable. I just used the adjustable to carry down to my box so that I knew what size to bring up. But once I cut those pieces down that were used to hold this down, together for shipping, these are the little tabs that I was come up with, and I used a little bit of PB Blaster on those bolts because they were pretty stuck. Probably pretty cheap. But this is going to go into there on all four corners. And then the spreader bar that I bought has just a hook that should be able to go like that. And then I don't got to worry about it backing off. So that's how I'm going to assemble this building. And I'm going to put these as far in as I can just to prevent this from backing out and bending it or whatnot. So I'm going to kind of tighten them in not tight, because I want this to rotate, but you get what I'm saying, because the longer that is, the more leverage it's got to bend or break. So that's what I'm doing. All right, guys, so there's how I got it rigged up. Got those tightened down to every corner, and it should be adequate to pick it up. That's what they sent with it, so I'm imagining it will. And then we opened up our little parts boxes, and it looks like mostly door lock parts. This is an electrical plug right here, and then we've got these little self-tapping screws, like sheet metal screws, and then these bolts. And before I told you size, and I was wrong, because once I started tightening them, it started popping off that 15/16. So it was actually a 7/8 for the bolts that did the sides. And then we're going to use, for these bolts, 11/16. And then for the little screwy deals, we've got 5/16 on there. And we've got the flashlight now because it's starting to get a little bit dark, but the person that offered to come and help us, he was waiting to get off work. He's got a crane truck, so he should be here soon. Morning, guys. Quick update. Wife brought my tires home, ordered them in to a relative's house, and my wife picked them up on her way home from work. So those will be going on the pulling tractor here pretty soon, getting it ready. But last night the crane truck ended up showing up. I got a few pictures I just showed you guys. I had to wait for the gentleman to get off work and everything, and so it was kind of late. By the time he got here, it was, you know, getting dark and whatnot, but we did get it set up. We only got like 4 bolts in. I've got 4 more to put in, but it was really difficult to get them lined up and being able to see, and my wife's holding the flashlight, but she's trying to help, etc. It just seemed like we were better off waiting until today. And so now we're back out here at the container, and I'll kind of give you guys a little bit of a walkthrough of what we went through when we popped it up. I'm gonna get this turned around for you. Alright, YouTube, so here it is so far. Like I said, we've still got bolts to put in. We got one there, we got one there, we need to put one here, need to put one there. The other end is not quite together yet. I need to kind of, I'm thinking I might need to get a little bit of like a pry bar and kind of get things lined up and pushed together, because it's not quite going. But yeah, it's not falling down though either, so I think we're all right. And I'll kind of work through this now today in the daylight. I don't really need the crane, but a few tips for when you set this up. Okay, I'm the guy that came in and picked it up. You're gonna have to push out the wall to where it clears the corners. You'll have to do it on both sides, this side and that side, because there's like these little seams. Get that done. I'm gonna say real quick, the floor seems pretty weak, but for what I paid, I'm not gonna complain. Oh, and then the next tip is, so you've got this bar here, and basically, once you've got this picked up with the crane all the way, you wedge the bar from there to where this can't fold back in. It's got that pressure point, right? Well, then I came to this side and I picked up this wall and I was pushing it up against it, and tell the people outside, realized, oh yeah, we got to move this bar, hold on, hold on. So don't forget that. And then the next thing, I got stuck in there. I was super frustrated because I was stuck in there, and I had the pile of goodies and whatnot here, but nobody else on the scene was familiar with this stuff except for me. So I was in there guiding people. Oh yeah, the little thing, blah blah blah. Try to get me out. Telling them where the bolts were to put it together. So I feel like maybe I could have been a little more prepared on that, but none of us knew what we were doing. None of us knew what we were getting into. So we got through it. Alright guys, so the first wall, I was able to use a pry bar behind the door back there, behind that wall, and kind of pry it out a little, get that bolt started in there. Took the pry bar out. Now the bolt started, I'm able to, I'll be able to tighten that one up. But I think I'm going to wait and probably stick a whole bunch of caulking into some of these joints and stuff before I assemble it. Alright guys, so this is how I came up with getting that next bolt hole aligned. Got a ratchet strap, went, and I did it right against there to where hopefully it won't bend it as much or as easy. Came to the corner, pulled it together. So that bolt was able to go in nice and easy there. Alright guys, so I got 2 more bolts. Got my strap. Got my technique. So I gotta pull this one in. I gotta pull that one in. Oop, that one in. And that one's just off by a little. And that one, it's off a little more. So that one's probably gonna be a bit harder to pull. I think I'm gonna pull this one first, because it's the further pull, and that way it's got the most give and stuff for this one. And really pulling this one into alignment might put this one into alignment. So I'm just gonna work on that one. Alrighty guys, so first I tried it from the window, didn't work out. Yeah, I didn't feel like it had the strength. It was kind of pulling like the whole wall sideways. Not the part that I wanted. So I ended up going around the whole thing. So now I got that side in, but it's too tight for this side now, so I gotta loosen it up. Hopefully I can push that side out a little bit and get that side in. If I was paying a little closer attention, I could have gotten that side in as I was tightening when it was lined up, but oh well. Alright guys, so working by yourself, you always gotta get a little bit creative. First I just stuck the crowbar in there, hoping that pushed it out enough. Nope, went out, looked. So then I bent it up a little bit, used this to keep it up. Wasn't quite enough, so then I had to find this 2x4. So now let's go out and we'll see if we can get it in there. That's what you call success, guys. So we've got all 4 bolts in each side. So those are complete. Now I'm going to move on to the rest of the stuff in the boxes that they gave me. Alrighty, so brought all my goodies in since I've got a building now. Ripped all this off of the door. And if you guys look around at the walls, they look damaged, scratched, etc. That's just more of this. They literally coated this whole thing with saran wrap, I think. So, yeah, that's what's going on. The only thing that I'm seeing that I really don't like is just the gaps in the floor. They're pretty weak. They flex under me. That might be partially because it's uneven, but it's a weak floor too. And then there's gaps at the ends. We might end up spray foaming, but overall doesn't look bad at all. Remember when I told you guys about getting locked in? Okay, this is the one to get out there with the square, and have somebody let you out once you stand the door up. But you get my point. Alright guys, so first I put the rubber gasket in, then I put this piece which folds out through its little section, which lines up the handle with the square one. So now I'm going to put the square thing in, the other rubber piece, the other side, and start screwing it together and then figuring out all these locks. There's like, yeah, there's several of them. It's kind of weird. So it looks like those screw onto there. Man, so I fought it. I got it all lined up. But I forgot the little rubber gasket on the outside. So I got to add that. Alrighty guys, so I think somewhere along the way I messed up. Because I've got these things, and I feel like they should be inside, not outside. So I'm going to tear it back apart and see if I can get that in there. And also, there's this little piece, and I'm not sure how it fastens in there. There is this hole, but I don't see any screws that would work to hold it. So I'm a little bit at a loss figuring this out. Alright YouTube, so put a little lock set in the middle, line it up with these, and then you got to screw one on each side, and in the back of that lock set, and then all the stuff that I just dropped on the floor that I had put on earlier, I've got to reinstall. Alrighty guys, so they gave us like 4 sets of keys. Got the door handle installed. It's at a weird angle, and you couldn't adjust that. I know usually you can turn the square. Well, this one's got a spring in there, and it didn't allow it to turn, so it sticks up. That's fine. It'll work. We've got this, which is just an inside lock, and then we've got these 3, which are like a 2-stage deadbolt. See that? Come out twice. Once in and once in. But then it also, you can just unlock it like that too. So got that finished. I do wish they would have sent me a screw that fit all the way deep into that and held that lock mechanism, but they didn't. So oh well. Alright guys, so I never figured out where these little screws go. I gotta figure out what goes on with these 4 screws and those little screws. But the lock mechanism is set up. It's working. It's opening. The door's opening. Okay. This, I assume, takes those 4 long screws, but I'm not entirely positive. And this is the electrical setup. Okay. Now they want you to connect it to there, push it up into that hole there with this, right? Now you're gonna have to make an extension cord with 2 ends like this. That's dangerous as okay, you plug that in, now you've got this end with live wires and you've got to plug it into this. That's not safe, man. That's backwards, guys. That's backwards. So I think I'm going to rethink that and come up with something else, to be honest. I think a little piece of, a little piece of conduit down this wall and then, over to an extension, down the wall and then to an extension cord that can go underneath and to plugged in or whatever. With some caulking around it, I think is a way better option than this. So yeah, I'm not recommending using that, so I'm not going to show you guys setting that up. And I guess that rules out that, which that was like a sleeve that went over it. I assume these screws were for that. Those, I still haven't figured out where they go. I think I'm going to have to, try to research a little bit. Then we've got this plug-in. Oh, that's the breaker. So that's the breaker. We've got, oh Oh, and that might be where some of them screws go. I don't know. And then we've got the light, which fell down, which I'm going to have to reconnect. And then we've got a couple plug-ins. That's a switch, I assume, for the light. Plug in there, plug in there. So it's kind of a cool little thing. It's coming along. I'll get that hung up, plug back in. I'm going to figure out a different way to wire this. So till next time, believe in yourselves, guys. Honestly, for what I paid, I think these are worth it. Do I think that they're super sturdy and super, you know, built to last type? Nah, they're kind of chintzy. They need some help in certain areas. But overall, it's definitely worth the money invested. And yeah, so till next time, believe in your own two hands. Know that you guys can put up a building like this. You guys can go to the auctions and find scores. You guys can resell things and flip things and make money. You guys can build things and fix things and create things and do art projects. Just believe in your God-given talents and skills, guys. Till next time, keep building shit. Alright, guys, one little thing. After I did some research and I did some walking around my building, I realized X marks the spot, guys. So these little guys, and all these tabs, you're going to drill in and put those screws to hold these edges in a little better. I would suggest waiting and running caulking behind that and then screwing it in. Just like I said, I'm going to loosen these up a little bit, get caulking all behind, and then retighten mine. Try to get my building sealed up a little bit better. But there we go. We completed our you know, pile of bolts and nuts and this and that. So that completes the building, guys. Like I said, I'm not hooking up my electrical like they sent it. It's wrong. It's backwards. It's wrong. It's not safe. Please don't follow. You know, don't use those parts and do it like that, guys. Even though you feel smart enough that you're not gonna go and unplug that, somebody else might. A little kid might. Whatever. And that's a live end. Those prongs sticking out are gonna be live if the other end of that cord is plugged in. So yeah, I'll just leave it at that, guys. Believe in your own two given hands. Keep building shit.